Welcome to Module 3, Licensing and Florida State Laws. The privilege of operating a motor vehicle carries multiple responsibilities. Driving is a privilege, not a right. Therefore, you can lose your privilege to drive. You need to understand laws and rules of the road and combine that knowledge with good judgment. Basic traffic laws are in place for all operators to follow. We will bring to your specific attention a few Florida laws that some drivers may be unaware of or may need reminding. Understanding all of your responsibilities as a licensed driver in Florida also includes an awareness of Florida licensing procedures and requirements. This module covers Florida licensing and driving laws. Topics that will be addressed include driving is a privilege, Florida point system, and other state laws. Our society provides us with freedom to come and go where and when we wish. However, society has specific controls, including the issuance of a license. We must all follow Florida licensing regulations and rules of the road, or our privilege to drive will be revoked. The licensing process is regulated by the Florida Legislature through the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. Florida has specific motor vehicle laws and imposes various penalties for violation of these laws. A considerable portion of the state's population doesn't realize that laws are in place to regulate the flow of traffic. Laws are designed for everyone's safety. It is important to review basic traffic laws that all of us are obligated to follow. Do not drive in excess of the speed limit or slower than any posted minimum speed limit unless conditions require a lower speed. If you have poor traction and poor visibility, slow down to maintain control and be able to stop if a hazard appears in your path. Slowing down or rolling through a stop bar is unsafe and against the law. Stop at the crossbar before your vehicle enters a crosswalk. They can be marked or unmarked. If there is no marked crosswalk present, stop your vehicle just before your front tires reach the bold stop bar marking on the pavement. If there is no stop bar, stop at the point nearest the intersecting roadway where you have a view of the approaching traffic before entering the intersection. Position your vehicle in the center of your travel lane. Always signal your intention to change lanes or turn. Yes, the law requires you to use your directional signal when turning or changing lanes. This applies to bicyclists also, who must use an appropriate hand signal. At an uncontrolled intersection, stop and yield the right-of-way to any vehicle which has entered the intersection from another roadway. Also, yield the right-of-way when backing out of a driveway or when you exit a parking space in a parking lot. When approaching a signalized intersection, if you see green traffic signal far ahead, chances are it will be changing by the time you reach the intersection. Be prepared to slow and stop. A flashing yellow light means slow down and proceed with caution through the intersection. Be prepared to yield to another vehicle or pedestrian if they are already in the intersection. If a traffic signal is not functioning, all vehicles are to treat it as a four-way stop, and the driver of the first vehicle to stop shall be the first to proceed. If two or more vehicles reach the intersection at the same time, the driver of the vehicle on the left shall yield the right-of-way to the vehicle on the right. Along with maintaining a current driver's license, you have other responsibilities. Drive only when you're mentally and physically fit to safely operate your vehicle. When driving, always stay focused on the task of driving. Demonstrate courtesy to others on the roadway. Protect your passengers at all times. Properly maintain your vehicle and maintain required insurance. In Florida, you are assessed points for certain driving violations. Florida's point system is in place to help identify those who aren't driving responsibly. If a pattern of non-compliance is not corrected, Florida will exercise its right to remove your privilege to drive. You must know and follow the laws that govern the use of Florida's roadways. If you choose not to demonstrate safe driving competence, your driver's license will be suspended or revoked. Suspension is the temporary removal of your driving privilege. It is an action that may be taken after review of your driving record. Suspension of your driving privilege may also occur for non-payment of child support or failure to pay a fine for a traffic violation. The suspension remains in effect for a specific amount of time before you may apply for reinstatement. In addition to a reinstatement fee, you must pay the appropriate license application fee for your age group. Revocation is defined as the removal of your privilege to drive. Your license may be suspended or revoked for a variety of reasons, including driving under the influence of alcohol or another substance, driving recklessly, leaving the scene of a collision, failing to satisfy a citation or appear in court, refusing to take a chemical test, and displaying a canceled, altered, or fictitious license. There are several other things that you need to consider as a driver on Florida's roadways, including the move over law, unmarked speed zone requirements, driving through a construction zone, and the Florida safety belt law. So now, let's take a look at a video explaining the move over law in Florida.
Per hour below the posted speed limit. When any sort of emergency vehicle or tow truck is off to the side of the road with its flashers on, give them room. It's not just smart, it's the law. And not doing it could cost you some hard-earned cash. Fail to move over or slow down and there could be a ticket coming your way. Florida's move over law is designed to keep you and our emergency workers safe on Florida roadways. When you see an emergency vehicle or tow truck stopped ahead with its flashing lights on, approach with caution. Change lanes away from the emergency vehicle as long as it's safe, or slow way down to 20 miles per hour below the speed limit. Hey, these folks are out there looking out for you, so you look out for them too, will ya? All you gotta do is move over a lane to give them some space, or slow down if you can't change lanes. So move over, Florida. It's the law. Help keep Florida's roadways safe for everyone by moving over or slowing down when emergency vehicles have their lights flashing on the side of the road. Move over, Florida. A message from the Florida Highway Patrol, paid for by the Florida Department of Transportation.
The maximum speed limit in a residential area or unmarked speed zone can vary from municipality to municipality, but generally, the speed limit is 25 miles per hour. The 55 miles per hour maximum speed limit is still in effect in Florida, except where otherwise posted. Speed limits are 70 miles per hour on some rural interstate highways. Speed limits may be different on other multi-lane highways. Drivers should not assume because the area appears to be rural that the limit is 70 miles per hour. Observe and obey the posted speed signs, as there may be changes from area to area along the selected roads and highways. Fines are doubled for speeding in a construction zone when workers are present, or a school zone. Get caught speeding more than 30 miles per hour over the speed limit in a school or construction zone, and the fine can be over $500. There is also a $1,000 fine for motorcyclists riding with one wheel off the ground. The Florida Safety Belt Law applies at all times. Safety belt laws apply to all cars, pickup trucks, and vans operated on Florida roads. All passengers in the front seat must wear a safety belt. All passengers under 18 must wear a safety belt. Children 3 and younger must be secured in a federally approved child restraint seat. Children 4 through 5 must be secured by either a federally approved child restraint seat or safety belt. The driver is responsible for buckling up the child. The cost for safety belt violation is $30 plus costs, which can total in excess of $100. For a driver with a child passenger not properly restrained, the violation is $60. Florida requires that every motor vehicle be covered by one statutory form of financial responsibility, more commonly called liability insurance, through a company that is authorized to do business in Florida. This includes golf carts, motorcycles, and mopeds. All motor vehicles registered or operated must be covered by liability insurance and basic no-fault personal injury insurance. Vehicles must remain insured during the entire registration period, even if the vehicle is not driven or is inoperable. Failure to carry insurance is a criminal offense. The penalties include fines, loss of license plates, and loss of operator's license. Florida requires the following minimum coverage: bodily injury or death of one person, $10,000. Bodily injury or death of two or more persons, $20,000. And property damage of $10,000. The Florida Motor Vehicle No-Fault Law requires all owners or registrants of a motor vehicle with four wheels or more to carry a minimum of $10,000 of personal injury protection, or PIP, and $10,000 of property damage liability, PDL, if you own a motor vehicle in Florida. Florida law requires you to maintain PIP and PDL insurance continuously throughout the licensing and registration period. Driving is not a right. It is a privilege you earned upon fulfilling all requirements to obtain your license. You are obligated to follow Florida licensing regulations and rules of the road in order to keep that privilege. Florida has specific motor vehicle laws and designates various penalties for violation of these laws. Traffic laws are in place to regulate the flow of traffic. They are designed for your safety and the safety of others you are sharing the road with. If you are identified as an unsafe driver or negligent of your responsibilities associated with driving, you may lose your privilege to drive. Topics in this module address driving is a privilege, Florida's point system, and other state laws. The next module presents information on probability, consequences, and manageability of risk when you drive. This concludes the module on licensing and state laws.